Hello and welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be having a little look at one of the warbands for the Beastgrave expansion of Underworld, and more specifically the Grymwatch. Now it's the first of Beastgrave that I've bought for myself, and I thought they were quite interesting. So we'll do a little bit of a review, we'll read what it says on here, and then I'll tell you what I think about them also. And before we begin, if you'd like to see more videos like this one, please hit the subscribe button and destroy the bell button so that you never miss an upload. So, it says the Warriors of Beastgrave. We're not going to read that, I think. We're going to read the Grymwatch because that's what we came here to talk about. The ghouls of the flesh-eater corpse suffer from the shared delusion that far from being monstrous corpse cannibals, they are in fact noble knights and dedicated men at arms. So it is with the Grymwatch, who ride out at the command of the degenerate beast, whom they perceive to be the heroic Duke Crackmarrow, hailing from the blasted and ruined kingdom far to the north. The Grymwatch have come questing to slay the monstrous entity that they believe lurks at the Beastgrave's heart. After all, they can't risk letting this terrible creature threaten their crops or menace their peasant folk. Now the slavering, grunting and snarling, the ghouls of the Grymwatch scramble through the tunnels, honourable hunters in search of their monstrous prey. So, this one looks like it's going to go a little bit better than the last. So I have previously tried to record this video on the wrong site, it would appear, and it either didn't load or it's just really pants. So we'll take a little look at the Duke to start off with. So not an overwhelmingly powerful character, not bad at all, in my opinion. And one thing that I didn't realise when so I've had one game with these guys and I did win. A little bit bragging, but I think it was like 14-7 or something, maybe even more. It was better than the thingy because the majority of the game it was a bit of back and forth, which I prefer them games where they're back and forth than a straight up landslide because no one's having fun at that point. Anyway, I didn't realise, at the point of what I was saying, I didn't realise that it's actually a range 2 halberd. So he swings 2 hammers, which does 2 damage, and that's not too bad. It's not overpowered, but he does enough to damage most people, if not kill some lesser characters. And the 2 hammers is a really good attack because you I've got a 50-50 chance twice, and obviously 2 dice is more chance of criticals, which everybody knows. That's what helps you win. He has a movement of 4, which is decently speedy. And he has a dodge characteristic of 1, which is not great because you've got a 1 in 3 chance of succeeding, and he could be better, I think. But here, you do with what you can. And he has 4 wounds, which is a decent wound characteristic, but you expect a 4 wound at least with a leader. He has the Ghoul Call action. It says place a scatter token in any hex and roll 1 attack dice to determine a direction. Place 1 friendly crypt ghoul that is out of action in the furthest empty hex from the scatter token in that direction. So basically it is an action, so you will be using one of your 12 limited resources of activations, but it does mean you can practically put any ghoul, you can bring a ghoul back and send it nearly to any edge of the board, which is pretty cool. He also has the good gosh, the ability. It's an ability, not an action. Which is muster. At the start of the action phase, this fighter makes the Ghoul Call action. This is not an activation, so when you do that, obviously from the start, the second or third, because there's no way you can have any dead ghouls beforehand, crypt ghouls. So basically it's a free way. So he works a lot like Scritch with the Skaven. However, he gets 2 free ones at least, which is always good. When he inspires, which he does, like all the rest of the team, when there are fewer than 2 enemy fighters in your territory at the end of the action phase. So if you're really lucky, unless you've got a special way to inspire them, you're going to be doing this when it's the second round, the end of the first, the second or third round, basically. So I'm going to flip him over, as you would do in the real world. And what you see is he gets cleave, which means any armoured characteristics don't get a save without a crit. And he does 3 damage, so that'll kill nearly most everyone, with the exception of some bulkier foes. He also has 2 dodge this time, which is better than 1 shield, I believe, because you've got 2 chances of getting a crit and 2 1 in 3 chances. So in some respects, it's better than some characters, which is really good. He also has movement of 5. So what you'll see, ruining the thing a little bit, that all the characters will gain 1 move when they inspire, so they'll become faster. So let's rotate it over to the Great Sword guy. Gristle, maybe? Gristlewell Greatsword. So Gristlewell has a range 1 attack. He swings 2 daggers, but he does 3 damage off the bat, which is good. Ironically, he has a big burn like a bat, really. But he thinks he's got a sword anyway. He has a movement of 4, 1 dodge characteristic, and 3 wounds. So he's like he's one of your heavy lifters. What you're probably best off doing is if you can get the rest of your plebs around a guy, send him in, and those 2 dice will become, with the exception of swinging a hammer, almost unstoppable, pretty much. Obviously, same inspiration tactic. This is the bit where it's going to probably speed up the video. He then, when he inspires, gets 1 movement, as we've said, and he does 3 dice, and he obviously still does the 3 damage. So he swings an extra dice, and he gets an extra move, so it's a bit faster. But he's pretty good anyway. I think he could have been better. He could have done with 2 dodge as well, I personally think. But that's wish listing, I suppose. If you've got 7 guys on your team, you can't exactly want everyone to be overpowered. So considering that, you are not doing too bad. Master Talon, one of the plebs. He is a cryptical, so he can be used for the cryptical ability. He swings 2 daggers, 1 dodge, moves 4, 2 wounds. So he is pretty much born to die. Obviously, when he's inspired, he has 3 dice, which is actually better than he would have been. He moves an extra 1, no extra dodge. However, he does have a reaction. After an action which an adjacent enemy fighter is taken out of action, place a feast counter on this card. This fighter has +1 wounds for each feast counter on this card. Remove these counters if the fighter is taken out of action. So, if he isn't killed, even if he doesn't do the killing, as long as he stood next to someone doing the killing, he gains an extra wound, basically, which is really good. So, I suppose if you're going against numerous enemies who might revive themselves, you could get almost like an extra 12 wounds. I mean, it's not going to happen, but it could, theoretically. We're going to now move along to one of my favourite ones. Another pleb. I think the model looks cool, to be honest. He's a bit burny. Knight's Herald. He has the Strangler's Claws. So, basic pleb. Starts off similar to the rest of them. He has 2 daggers. When inspired, however, he has 3 daggers, which means he is more likely to get his attacks off. Still 1 damage, so not OP, but he has -1 dice from adjacent enemy fighters' attack action to a minimum of 1, so he's a bit more defensive in that regard. He does have some cool upgrades, I think, or you can give him some cool upgrades, which is really good, pretty much. So, one of my favourite ones, we're going to go to the Butcher. I think he's also another pleb. Yes. Same characteristics. There's no change there as the other dude. And when he inspires, he rolls 4 dice. Now, he doesn't have a special ability like gaining a wound or being more defensive. This guy is just in it for swinging. He also has Ensnare, obviously, which is good if you're going against dodge characteristic characters. but that is with that attack. So ways to make it better is obviously if you can get +1 damage to the dice, or anything like that, would be lovely. Pretty much. So he's not the best, but he does pretty well. Obviously, feel free in the comments down below to tell me where I'm wrong and how he is the best one. We'll go to Valric, the lady of the team. Valric the Tracker. She is not a pleb. She still throws 2 daggers, and she does 2 damage. So does a decent amount of damage, has 3 wounds, 1 dodge. When she inspires, let's have a little look at her. She swings 3 daggers, 2 damage still. So no extra special things there apart from her dodge characteristic increases. I believe she has upgrades and stuff, which we'll probably hear about shortly when we go down further. We also have the animal, Duke's Harriers. Let's go to the uninspired first. So not bad in that they swing 3 daggers to start off with, and does 1 damage. And the thing here says this fighter treats lethal hexes as normal hexes and can move through occupied hexes but cannot end their move on an occupied hex. This fighter cannot be given attack, action, upgrades, and cannot hold objectives. So the holding objectives is pretty pants, and I completely forgot that when I played and lost some points because I wasn't really reading the card. So I just make a note of that. When inspired, 5 move, so starts off as fast as anyone else inspired, and then gains ensnare and has 2 dodge and move 6. So not insignificant, pretty decent to be honest. Can get about, swings a lot of dice, and can push and harass people, and he's relatively defensive as well. Won't go down straight away. So here we have the playstyle. The Grymwatch are a territory control warband using their superior speed, a high body count, and Duke Krekmarrow's Ghoul Call ability to claim a numerical and positional advantage through the game. Making most of your inspired condition is absolutely key when playing the Grymwatch, so you'll want to fight tooth and nail to keep enemy fighters out of your territory in the first action phase. However, this inspired condition isn't just a challenge for you. Your enemy will have to come into your territory and risk getting piled on by your ghouls if they want to slow you down. That's exactly what I did in the first game, and we took out this guy of James's. Sorry, James, I'm not gloating, honest. James absolutely trounced me in the previous game, so yeah, I can't exactly claim that I'm superior. It says, when playing the Grymwatch, managing activations efficiently is key. So I will read the rest of this, but I definitely have found this with a big warband or anyone where you bring them back. When you've got 12 activations in a full game, so it's not always viable to bring everyone back, and it's not always viable to move everyone. You don't have to move everyone. You could just pick 3 guys and use those only. You could pick 1 guy and make that one the main aim. Not the best way. Sometimes it could be a way to do it. Just, you've got 7 guys. If you move every single person one, you've got what, like 5 activations left maybe? My maths is terrible. Anyway, it's going to say exactly that now, isn't it? While you have a horde of fighters available, you've only got 4 activations in which to choose and to use them. Meaning without pushes or gambits, you'll have to pick and choose which fighters you will and won't act with. That's exactly what I've just said. Where possible, make your opponent take the first activation for the first round to reduce the chance of wasted activation. Don't be afraid to sacrifice fighters early on. The Ghoul Call is an excellent ability and one that can allow you to quickly surround the foe or force them to split their forces. It could be well worth giving up some early glory to reap the rewards of Duke Krekmarrow's ability. Yeah, and that's pretty much the tips and tactics. My agreement, I do agree with that wholeheartedly. And it took me a long while to realise that you don't have to move everyone. Even if you've got a 3-man warband, you could literally leave 1 or 2 of them behind. You could just, if they're powerful enough and good enough to do what you need, you just do what you need to do. You don't have to get everyone involved to do that. It's nice if you can. You know, support's always good, especially with a horde warband. But if you can get the enemy to come to you, then that's the better way to do it. Anyway, so what we'll do is I will end the video here, I think. Obviously, invite you guys to make any comments you wish, down below, telling me how stupid I am and how wrong I am, or if there's specific cards that you think you should use, chuck that down there as well. Always welcome. I do like the Grymwatch. My summary is Grymwatch are cool. They're like the Skaven in that they're fast and they can bring guys back, which is really cool. And they're an interesting one to play. So definitely good if you've got a objective, if you want to go for an objective based one as well. I'm going to leave it there, as I said. And as ever, thanks for watching.